Hi, my name is Craig Maschio, and I am presenting a community-focused hobby shop called the Memory Card that I would like to open up in Anderson, South Carolina. The name really tells the story of where the idea came from for me. Three of my favorite things are video games, sports cards, and memories attached to them. But as the project developed, I realized that the store represents more than just the things I personally love, and it should represent more than I personally love. So the bigger idea is to create a place where everyone in the community can find a little place for themselves, whether that's through cards, games, music, comics, Legos, toys, or just the memories they have growing up with those hobbies. The name Memory Card has a few different meanings built into it. Memory is the nostalgia part. It's the players you watched growing up, the games you played, the music you remember, something you collected as a kid. Card obviously connects to trading cards and collecting. It's also a video game meeting. A memory card is when you save your progress. I like the connection because the store is doing the same thing. You're saving pieces of the past while creating some new memories along the way. And the last piece of the place is community. It can't just be a store built around my memories. Everybody should be able to bring themselves into the memory card themselves and leave a little bit of themselves behind. Anderson itself was important to me because this is where I decided to settle in South Carolina. And I want to build this around a real community. Instead of creating a hypothetical business that could exist anywhere, I really specified it to something that I can create in the town that I live in. The market data itself supports a more value-conscious store instead of one that depends entirely on expensive collectibles. And that actually fits how I approach the hobby as it is. So it was kind of an easy transition for me. The opportunity I see is more than just another place selling inventory. I want it to become a hobby home base where somebody can come in, ask questions, trade, play, attend an event, or just even look around. The numbers also force the idea to stay realistic. My base model calls for roughly 44 visitors a day and about 15 buyers. So there's definitely some customer acquisition challenges that need to be solved before opening. That way the business can take off as it stands. I think this is also why the store intentionally goes beyond sports cards. Cards, comics, and toys will make up the largest piece of projected revenue, but video games, music, pop culture events, stream rooms, consignment, everything has a role. Part of this is financial. Hobbies and trends move in cycles, so I don't want one category carrying the entire business when the trend ends up changing. And also goes back to the brand. Someone who could not care less about a baseball card might love retro Nintendo games. They might love vinyls. They might love Legos, Pokemon, board games. Different hobbies get people through the door, but the experience should feel like one store that they're coming into. For me, creating the experience is the biggest difference between this and simply just selling products online. Anybody can put something on a marketplace. The harder thing to do is recreate how somebody feels when they walk into a store. I want a beginner to feel comfortable asking basic questions. I want parents to find affordable things for their kids. I want somebody getting back into a hobby after 20 years to be able to walk in and start talking about what they remember. That interaction is part of what the customer is getting from the business and what helps the business sustain a organic feel in the neighborhood. I have four main goals that I built into the project so that I'll have a measurable commitment behind the project itself and the concept itself. The first is financial feasibility, because none of the other ideas matter if I can't stay open and I can't keep my lights on. Second covers collaborator model and makes sure roles, inventory, ownership, and expectations are clear. The third focuses on actually building a community customer base through surveys, events, partnerships, and repeat customers. And the fourth connects inventory, digital selling, point of sale information, and monthly performance reviews. These goals were important to me because they forced me to turn a lot of ideas I liked into things I could actually measure to see some results based on, something that isn't a tangible object. I think the biggest reality check for me throughout this process has been the actual financial side of things. My base opening capitalization is about $132,500, with $150,000 as the absolute ceiling. The number I probably care about most is the $55,000 cash reserve that I plan to have. I don't want to open the doors and immediately be in a position where every decision I'm making is based on I need $1 right now to pay the bills. So I really want it to be, where I can organically grow the business without being strapped for cash the first few months. I also explored crowdfunding, but I didn't treat $50,000 raised as $50,000 of free money. After platform fees, processing, rewards, and fulfillment, it muddled to roughly $38,000 in usable capital. This could reduce borrowing significantly and lower the modded modeled monthly payment, which gives the business more room to breathe in the initial opening phase. The most important part of this whole presentation, I think, is this slide because it takes emotion out of the idea for a minute. I think the store is cool. Cool doesn't necessarily translate to paying the bills. So in my base case, I need roughly 44 visitors per day, about 15 of them making a purchase, and an average transaction of about $35. When I move into the conservative scenario, that traffic requirement climbs quickly. So the real question becomes less about whether people like the concept and more about whether they like it enough to come back and spend money consistently. That's why repeat business, conversion, average transaction values, and all events became important measurements in my final plan. I also wanted my downside scenario to have an actual plan attached to it. If the business underperforms, my first reaction should be not to panic or immediately throw more money at it. The plan identifies the response, delay my transition into the business full-time, freeze unnecessary expansion, reduce inventory purchases, and review the marketing, location, and category mix. That connects directly into something I've learned about in leadership too. You can't eliminate every risk, but you can decide ahead of time what you're going to do if something goes wrong. That gives me options before the problem become an actual emergency, and it allows me to be proactive rather than reactive, especially in the first 6 months my business is open. Leadership ended up shaping the business more than I expected when I first started the idea. The memory card's not going to have some magical product that nobody else can sell. Somebody can easily match my price, carry the same cards, or carry the same goodies as me, or copy an event that I'm doing. I think the hardest thing in copying any business is culture. I want the honesty to be a non-negotiable. I want employees to feel like they can help shape the store instead of just working in the store. And I would rather hire somebody who's kind, curious, trustworthy, willing to learn, rather than somebody who knows everything about collectibles but maybe makes people uncomfortable because they're judgy. I want employees to eventually lead products, suggest events, and test ideas. This is where I think leadership becomes part of the essential business strategy. Another thing that I've taught myself while doing this and building this business has been to slow down, not jump straight into the part where I'm excited about everything. So the implementation plan is intentionally staged. More than 6 months before I commit to a lease, I want the budget, location standards, traffic, and professional reviews completed. 90 days before opening, the crowdfunding campaign, customer list, collaborator agreements, and consignment price process should already be in place. I would then use the soft opening to test the assumptions while I still have outside employment. The basic rule is that excitement does not get to move faster than the evidence, which I think is huge in starting my own business. My recommendation at this stage in the process is to continue to develop this business, but not rush into signing a lease tomorrow. The next step is proving my demand. I want at least 150 local survey responses, realistic traffic information, a clear occupancy cost, and a professional review of the numbers before I even think about signing a lease. The crowdfunding campaign can do two things at once. It can potentially raise money, but it also shows whether people are actually willing to financially support this idea in the first place. After opening, our focus will quickly shift from getting people through the doors to getting them to come back to the doors. Customers are eventually they're going to tell me what concept works and what doesn't work within my business. When I look back and I consider, starting this business and where I'm at versus where I started, I think the business itself is really just about turning nostalgia into the community. It starts with three things I personally love: video games, sports cards, memories. But it came stronger when I stopped thinking only about what I want and what everybody else could bring into the table too. I think there's a real opportunity here. I know the passion that I have isn't enough. The concept needs controlled spending, measurable demand, strong leadership, and customers who come back. I think those can be proven commodities in the area, and I think it'll become exactly what I pictured, and more than a store, and genuinely a piece of the community. A place for parents to come, a place for kids to come after their baseball games. All of those things, I believe, are accomplishable at Anderson with the help of the community.